before that, they had a couple close calls, had some chances, and weren't able to get it done. But what challenges specifically do they present for you guys?
As good a starting five as there is in our league, with some depth. They've increased their depth. They're playing 10, 11 kids now, so they're peaking at the right time. Incredibly, it's a completely different team. Like I told our group yesterday, I said, Mimi Reed might be the only one y'all will recognize walking through the door. So it's a challenge to make sure our kids, but our kids are smart. They've watched enough. They know. They've seen their upset wins. They've seen their close calls. They've played against these kids. They played against Shakira and Madison Scott, all those kids. So they've got our respect. I know Coach Yo is, fighting for respect, and you can tell from her press conference after the game that they're in a fight for that. But she can check us off that list. She's earned ours.
Seth, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, what is the concern, or if there is any, about the long layoff time for your team?
That we haven't had one. We haven't had it. A lot of people have had, and we haven't. So I don't have any knowledge of how we will handle it. The first 30 minutes of practice yesterday looked like we hadn't touched the ball in a month. We got it back going, and that's okay. I told them that's okay. We did some things and took some shots that didn't recognize who they came from, but that's okay. I think in the long run, it'll be a good thing. But I think how we prepared yesterday into today, and then depending on what happens with tomorrow and the next day, I think we'll bounce back quickly. But the concern is I don't have any working knowledge of how this group particularly will handle it. And we were in a pretty good rhythm. We had a good little rhythm going, and you worry about time off disrupting some of that timing that we had going. So it could be good, could be bad, could be indifferent. It's going to be fun to see how this group does it.
Russell, go ahead.
Then with Ole Miss, the concern is just, they've got a pro and a Shakira Austin and some other kids who will play basketball long after college. So they've really increased their roster. I think they've got their roster back to where, when Coach Todd was there with Matt Insel, I think they've got their roster back looking like that type of team that's knocking on the door of getting in the middle of our conference and fighting to be toward the top. So it's been I know for them, it's been a 3-year deal, and they're starting to reap the rewards for a lot of good efforts in recruiting and coaching.
Russell, go ahead.
I guess I saw where LSU is supposed to travel to Kentucky Friday and play that game at 1:00 in the afternoon. Would you like to play your game Friday if you can get it in?
I would like to play the game anytime, between now and Sunday. That makes sense. I think we get past that. Now you're starting to bring in SEC tournament and, at Auburn and, home versus Alabama. You start getting into, where it might not be the best for the kids. So we've got a few days in there. I think, again, y'all know our desire to play games is at the highest level that you can possibly have. But at some point, whoever you want to put it on, we've got to make the decision that's best. Maybe we don't get the game played if we run out of just geographic dates and enough time on the calendar. But I'd love to play anytime between now and even Saturday. Even if, we travel day of the game, so going to LSU on one day's rest, we've done that number. I think if we do play Friday, it'd be kind of good preparation for the NCAA tournament where you play a day. If you win, you get to play again. So we can spin it into a positive. I hope we get a chance to play it. And Ole Miss, I think really they need the game. They're in the verge. If you watch the people who do these bracketologies, they're in the conversation for the next 4 to 8 teams out. There are opportunities down the stretch. I think they play 3 teams that were in the reveal and us. So they got a lot of opportunities to increase their profile.
Paul, go ahead.
Just talk a little bit about your team right now. Everybody, I know we've talked about bumps and bruises and things at this point in the season. Where do you feel like your team is physically and maybe mentally and emotionally as well?
I think emotionally we're in a great spot. Physically, we still got those But we've learned the rehab and the prehab, and they're very diligent with that. Simone Rush, our new athletic trainer, has been amazing, even during these days when we haven't been able to necessarily get to campus doing rehab with the kids. I think we're in a really good spot. The last conversations we've been having, I think everybody is very much settled into and accepted and executing their roles. And I think physically, other than just having a few days off where we lose your legs and your lungs a little bit, I think we're in great shape.
Okay.
Seth, go ahead.
And going back just a little bit to the postponement of the game, you mentioned kind of earlier in the season with COVID, you didn't really have anybody coaching wise to lean on to deal with the postponements. Do you have that somebody to kind of ask about now, since some people have gone through it?
I have. I've talked to several people about, how they've done theirs, about what it basically becomes the question of, is this game beneficial to us? Does this benefit us? Does it benefit your team to put them through some challenges of maybe that the postponement would incur? Is that challenge worth it? And I would tell you, we specifically challenged our kids in some unique ways to see how we would respond. I think we've done enough of that, to be honest with you. I think we're at that point of we've done everything we can do for the league. We've done everything we can do for our kids to test them and help the league. Now we got to kind of take care of ourselves and make sure we haven't gone past that point of diminishing returns. So yeah, there's a few people I call and talk to and trust, and it's unique. It's all over the map from, how you pull it off, where you pull it off, when you pull it off. Is it worth losing a TV game, moving the stop time, changing it to earlier in the day? There's lots of factors to consider, but at this point, if we can get it done Thursday or Friday, we'll try to do everything we can do to make it happen.
Russell, go ahead.
Watching the SEC network here the last couple of days, I've seen a lot of, player of the year talk already. Just what kind of season has Chelsea had, and her going over the 2,000 point mark, the last game?
Yeah, when you look at those types of honors, you have to be really consistent in the big games. And I just got through doing the math right behind me. It's interesting you asked that question. I pulled her stats versus teams in the reveal and teams versus the top 50 in the net, and they blow your mind. 23 and a half and almost 5 rebounds, 2.5 steals. And that's 14 games we've played against people in the top 50 of the net. We've played 9 games against teams that were in the reveal the other night. That's the most of anybody. So I think she's got to be in that conversation. I know historically, your teams need to be toward the top of the league standings, but y'all know where I feel about standings this year. I don't think they're an accurate depiction of your team. So much of that has to do with when you played and where you played and who they had available when you played them. It's very rarely apples to apples, and this year it feels like apples to potatoes. It's just not even a close comparison when you look at some of the standings. So I'll certainly put Chelsea's performance consistently up there with anybody that's got an SEC logo. I heard somebody saying, well, her stats against UConn won't count because that's not an SEC game. I said, okay, whatever. Then don't vote for her. You're just trying to find a reason not to vote for her. Just don't vote for her. But I can tell you this, winning is so important to her as far as team and the honor. She knows the honors comes with how the team does. So I think that's why you've seen her be very good defensively, attention to the rebounds, trying to add a second stat there. But I think, if there's an opportunity to support your player, I'll be out there in the forefront, obviously, because there's a case to be made. And I do know it comes down to, I can't vote for her. I get that. I just hope everybody else will take a deep dive into it and look at it. The 2,000 points is just, that's rare air type thing. You look around programs, there's not very, there's a lot of, the 1,000 point club is a great thing. And there's a large number of people. And I think we have 2,000 point scorers. Is that right, Mario? Betty, and we have 3. Yeah. Did Shamika make
2,000 point, we have 2. I thought you were going to say 1,000 on our team.
No. Yeah, I mean, there's Betty Fiskus is the only other one I think in Razorback history to do that. And I get it. There's always that. Well, we didn't have the 3-point line. Well, we played more games. Well, I hear all that and I understand all that, but I certainly think Chelsea's accomplishments are legacy type leading things. And then you put into context with how she did it and when she did it. Came in at a time when we were, the day that she showed up, we were picked 14th in the league. So, it wasn't like she was walking into a pat hand. And also the schedule with which she's done it against. We didn't back down. Even when our team wasn't as good, we still had a really tough schedule. So she's done it against some of the best other competition, and she's done it consistently. You don't get to 2,000 without being very, very consistent. You cannot be erratic. So, but I can tell you this, there's more to be done, I think, with her. I think when the stage gets bigger, it seems to me big performances come out.
Any other questions regarding Ole Miss or the postponement?
Hey, I would one little thing. You mentioned that you get past maybe Friday or Saturday, and maybe does your outlook change on this postponement a little bit if we're not able to do it like Friday or Saturday or in that window? How does that change your thought, or does it, Mike?
Well, it's got to match up with the rest of the stuff that you have. I mean, are we going to move the SEC tournament back? No way. So, I mean, we've got an anchor date now that you kind of have to be done by. And the other part is, again, trying to look at it for the good of the league. I think it would be more important for Ole Miss and Mississippi State to make up their game than us to make up our game with a full roster. I think Mississippi State's only played 8 conference games.
That's right.
So that game to me makes more sense. So I think we look at it like that, trying to balance it the best that we can for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you if the league says show up and play back to back, hey, you're gonna fly there okay, we'll do it. And I'll trust those people just like we have all year long. But I think once you get past even past Friday, now you're looking at affecting an awful lot of dominoes down the line that you might have reached the tipping point in value over risk.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and shift gears. Coach, you want to talk a little bit about LSU on Sunday?
Yeah, the first thing is it's just that they have a style of play that's given us fits. We had our Space Jam game down there 2 years ago. I mean, it was like, what happened? Who overtook our bodies the last time we played down there? So with that, this particular team has a negative connotation with even landing in Baton Rouge. So we got to fight through that. And then you face a team that's got 3 big kids and really athletic guards. So that's a formula that we struggle with. It's a low possession game. You watch them play, they're gonna walk it up. They're gonna pull it out and reset every time there's an offensive rebound. They're gonna try to make this a 50 possession game rather than a 50 possession half. So big challenge. They've got a lot to play for as well. They're a team that is looking at the SEC as their opportunity to play into the postseason and be a big game.
Paul, go ahead.
Do their athletic guards give you more fits, or does their size inside, which is a bigger deal?
Probably their size inside, because their guards aren't big. They're not long. I mean, they're long, but they're not Tennessee long. I mean, that's become a verb around here, I guess, or a noun or whatever it would be. I never could diagram a sentence. They're not Tennessee long. They're not 6'2", 6'1" long. They're more our size and length. So, but their size around the basket, Afuwe, Faustine, and then Aura Tarazi, if she's back playing, and they've got a couple of new kids that They can play some volleyball with it in there. And we've seen that in the past, not so much the last 4 or 5 games. We've gotten better at it. But the inside, and it's a 51-49 deal, Paul. I mean, if you're asking me to pick, I'd say the big ones, but by a large margin of 1%.
Seth, go ahead.
What have you done the past few games against those bigs?
We've emphasized rebounding more. That's all we did. We went to them and said, everybody get one more. We emphasized it. We've emphasized it in practice. Every time the ball, go get it. And it's not been any rebounds that were like, those 9-foot rebounds. We've been getting loose balls better. Those ones that are 50-50, those ones that are at the logo that are 6-inch rebounds, digging it out. And it's just been, of the 8 kids that are playing, and that's what we did. I brought them their numbers in our big games. Is that's how many rebounds you're getting per minute. You need to go up by 1. Just go up by 1 rebound. Not 1 point, not 1 per minute, just 1 rebound. And if all 8 of you do that, then that's 8 more rebounds that we get that they don't get. I think that's been a big difference. And we also eliminated what I called 1 my bad. That whatever your my bad is, eliminate 1 of them. If that's not boxing out, or it's leaking out too early, or it's taking a bad shot, or it's forgetting ball screen defense, if all 8 of you do that, then that's 8 my bads that we don't have as well. So just emphasizing it. I mean, that's what coaching is all about. To making the difference, a small difference in winning this time of the year. And I think this group responded the last 3 or 4 games.
Russell, go ahead.
As of right now, they're, right in front of you guys in the standings. Does that, add emphasis to this game? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, we know it's one of those teams sitting there on 6 win, potential to get to 9. A head-to-head flips you in that boat. So, yeah, I think it does. But I don't think it's it's something our kids are used to seeing, so it's not a new thing. But I do think it adds that may make the kids watch the scouting report one more time, the video, or it might make them read the scout one more time. And that's human nature, and that's who our group is. So, but yeah, I think you're right. I think because of and we will point that out too. So that is part of it.
Paul, go ahead.
Last thing for me is, how do you think Slocum has just seemed to fit in better, or is it just comfort maybe she's gotten some big scoring nights? Is there any difference, or is it just?
There's a difference. There's a big difference. She came in after one of our, the article you wrote about the cards was good. That after one of our card sessions, we had a little breakout session, and she said, "Coach, I feel more comfortable sometimes when I dribble the ball at the court." I was like, wow, I wish you'd told me that 20 games ago, and it's her trying to be a team player, and she gets it. She's like, I know y'all would twist me out of the corner and kick it up and get it into my hands, but she goes, there's just something about me getting the ball out of the net and bringing it across the half court line. I said, you realize how easy that is to fix? Because here's the thing, Mac likes to have a break every now and then and not bring it across the half court line. It was such an easy fix. And it was just her trying to fit in so much that she just was apprehensive to bring it to my attention. And, we had a good laugh about it. I said, this is why you should have played for me for 4 years. We would have gotten that knocked out in the preseason of your freshman year. And it's a comfort thing. I get it. I used her with her. I said, and I started shaking my head when she was telling me. She handled it like a pro. Y'all been around her enough to know how she is. And I said, Slocum, this is just like when my baseball coach moved me from shortstop to second base. He was trying to help me play more innings and get more at bats, but the field looked completely different to me from the shortstop angle. And it's 20 feet. It's 20 feet. And it's a shorter throw. And I had a crappy arm. So they were trying to help me. And it was just one of those deals. So I think ever since we've had her bring the ball up the floor, it gets her in the middle of the court at a different angle. She can read the screen a little bit more like she's read it since high school. So it's a little conversation and then just a willingness of us and our teammates to say, absolutely, and I think as a result, she's more comfortable. She's been more aggressive. It looks better. And then obviously as a result, she's still got to make the shots. but she's shooting an incredible percentage because she's comfortable. Feels good.
Yeah. One last thing about that. She said something to me about your relationship was really, it has to be really good because she told you no twice. So that can you speak to that a little bit?
No, it is. I mean, I think we know that we've got to be able to have honest feedback. There can't be any, because it's just the time frame that we have. And I know she knows it, and I know it from her, that we both just want what's best for our team that we're both a part of. And then all she wants to do is help us win games. It has nothing to do with scoring. It has nothing to do. She has led every team she's ever played on in assists. And I think she's going to us too. Am I right on that, Mario?
You are correct. Unless Mac has a lot of assists down the stretch.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of who she likes to be. And it's a comfort thing, but listen, if I gave up the first time people told me no, I'd have been out of this I wouldn't be sitting here doing this Zoom interview. That's for sure. I'd be a bad vet that never put any bad animals down. Every animal lived, and I had this menagerie of animals that nobody else would put down, So she is so mature, has handled it great, and I think her being happy and comfortable and leads to a few more shots going in, and the confidence to take a few of those. That step back against UConn, you put that in perspective, it just, you got to have some confidence to take that one, much less make it. Yep.
Seth or Russell, you guys have anything else?
I'm good.
I'm good.
How's
All
the
right,
weather?
we'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.